Hello, everybody. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome. I'm doing a late stream. Why? Because I gotta get this done. I got plans for tomorrow. Lots and lots and lots of plans. So we're gonna get into as far as we can get into Missy Moo's stream from tonight. I found it very interesting, and I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions as well as your thoughts and opinions on exactly is what's going on. So let me put live right now with an SFTI. Okay. Is Foodie Beauty getting paid from the Kuwaiti government? Okay. All right, here we go. All right, I tweeted it. Now I got it. What's up, Backshots? Just Die. Hello, Diane Woods, Vicky. What's going on, Amy, Judy, and everybody else that's just listening? I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me. We're going to get into it right now. I know it's kind of late. Well, for some of us, it's late. Others, it's super early in the morning. Others, it's like 8:39 p.m. All right, let me pin this message and let me share my screen and let's get started. So this was very interesting what Missy Moo came up with. I mean, it does make a lot of sense of what she was saying. Hey, Stormy H. I'm like, hey, I kind of agree with a lot she's saying. So let's go. Should I 1.25 exit? Um, I don't think so. All right, let's see how it sounds.
So, first of all,
No. Missy Moo speaks normal. Only with Foodie Beauty can you like 1.25 exit and be okay.
so first of all,
Sup, Go Hens girl?
I'm not gonna have this
Mary
facing me
Higgs, celebrity juicer.
right at the beginning here. I'm gonna actually share with you guys my computer screen in a minute here. But what I wanted to say as a disclaimer, and I recently had a filling filled, so I'm lisping a little bit because my tongue is getting
Okay.
used to the filling. But what I want to say is this is all speculation on my part. But I also did some research today. And remember when I talked about the people messaging me in my Instagram after Salah approved me on my Instagram?
Uh huh.
Um, well, I talked with my husband and we researched a little bit. And now this is not, I do not have this personal knowledge.
Okay,
Um,
Texas
this
Toast.
is
No
not
problem.
things that I've been told by anybody. This is just speculation, but I also have enough conviction about it to talk about it. So
All right. So what's interesting here is I do believe Missy Moo has more insider information than anybody else as what is actually going on with the lovely couple, and her explanation does merit a lot of things. She was duped by Foodie Beauty in many ways. She was in other ways she was not. I mean, she is an adult, and as adult, we can't, just blame everything on FB, especially when certain things were practically clear as day. But I do like her angle that she's going at here when she explains it, especially with the site, saying that there's a legitimate way why she's saying she originally Foodie Beauty said that she was investing in a business, right? And this business and that and this and that would, make money for her. And it kind of makes sense as to why she isn't really working that much, or should I even say that hard on YouTube? Because she doesn't really work hard on YouTube. You just come on live stream, make a video here and there, and she gets paid. Sup, Sabrina? All right, they've fallen out before and made up. They may become friends again. Yeah, we thought so when originally it was Missy Moo giving the $10, and then Foodie Beauty came on and said, no, that is not Missy Moo, blah, 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 blah. But it was. I'm like, come on, Helen Smith. All right, but we're going to get into it. Let's see what she has to say about the whole setup and situation, business, and how Foodie Beauty may or may not be getting a stipend from the Kuwaiti government in terms of for food and housing and other things, healthcare.
I want to share with you guys. I don't know if this has been talked about. I'm going to put the chat up here so I can see it. I don't know if this has been talked about
Hey
because, like
Marie,
I
what's
said,
up?
I was a little naive mouse that didn't watch reaction channels that much because, oh, they were just, their opinion was just so skewed, right? So jaded. So I decided to actually sit down and take a very logical look at this. And this is some of the things I found. Now, let me see how I can flip this camera.
Sure.
So please be aware that I I always have animals in my house, and the birds are asleep. So anyway,
I thought she had more than two birds. She said in the stream she only has two. I'm like, really? All that noise from two birds? She's a doxer. She
I did
is.
a simple Google search,
And she also says she has an evil twin. She has an evil twin.
and I came up with a few things. So I thought it just seems so strange to me that this all happened and there isn't, like, she's not talking about their marriage or sharing very much of anything, right? And I get that
Yeah,
she wants to be private and try being
sure.
private, but claiming that privacy is a trait of a Muslim when you're not private about anything else but your relationship with your husband, it's just really fishy to me. And the fact that when she came home to Canada, she basically returned to the same habits is just very
Right.
fishy to me.
Stop
So
it, ain't that?
remember when Murad talked about Chantal giving into their business?
Yeah.
Well, I sat and had a real long think about that. And what I came up with was this. I researched this. So employment contracts for skilled okay. So benefits, what are the benefits to working in Crate? So, she's right when she says that there isn't poverty and uh there isn't poverty, there isn't people aren't poor. You have to have a job. As an expat, you have to have a job to be in Kuwait. Well, that's true. You do. Employment contracts for skilled foreign workers in Kuwait usually include benefits such as a housing allowance, medical aid, and
Okay.
annual air tickets home. So, remember how she's like, I'm staying in Kuwait for a while?
Yeah, annual air tickets home and, healthcare, housing allowance. I'm like, that kind of makes a lot of sense to me. What do you guys think? And come on, I'm going to say this. Kuwait has a mixed economic system, right? So you have a centralized economic planning and government regulation, as well as a variety of private freedoms. So with that said, you're gonna create people who are really well off and others who are not so well off. As in, if you gotta import workers to work because about 30% of your citizens don't work, then you're gonna have poverty. So when they say, hey, there's no poverty in Kuwait, that's actually not true. It's just really hidden. And I hate when people say that because in any country, even in ones that aren't doesn't have a capitalist backbone, I should rather say, there is types of poverty because then what happens is that such factors such as nepotism takes over, favoritism takes over. So any place you're really gonna find poverty is just whether or not they hide it.
Because they pay for annual air tickets home. They also give you a housing allowance and medical aid. Okay?
For skilled foreign workers.
So, unfortunately, lucrative expat contracts are not what they used to be
What's Foodie Beauty skill? Eating?
as the country continues to implement the Kuwaitization plan. Okay? So, I get that. I understand that. I know it's harder, but here we go. Everything you need to know about moving to Kuwait. So, here's why Salah wasn't interested in moving to Canada and she's moving to Kuwait for this reason.
Is get the monies. It's the monies. He gets the monies.
Okay, so talks about the oil industry relocating to Kuwait. Despite its size, Kuwait is a popular destination for expats, with around 2/3 of the population comprised of expats. It's a strong oil industry, blah, blah, blah. Renting accommodations is preferred option due to restrictions on foreign ownership of property. So they have residencies for expats,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go down here and see some more.
Yarn enthusiast, you're confused. He's from Syria, so did he leave because of the war and go to Kuwait? If so, how is he considered a skilled foreign worker or sponsor Foodie Beauty? That is actually kind of confusing. I think he went into Kuwait because of his dad had, I guess, a job. Still does have a really good job. So Salah just went with them. I don't think it could have been because of different factors in Syria why his dad left. Very likely the war as well. But yeah, how is he considered a skilled foreign worker? Well, that is a really good question. Missy Moo explains that a lot. That you have to have a job if you're not a citizen, right? So his job is that he owns a business partly, which is actually allowed as long as controlling interest is with a Kuwaiti citizen, which is the 51% thing. Because remember, there is that factor that this is a country. that make sure that citizens are in control of a lot of things. Like it's actually pretty difficult to open up a bank account. It's not as we would do in the UK or Australia or New Zealand or Canada or USA, right? You actually have to do a lot of paperwork, and there has to be controlling interest in terms of properties and businesses.
Visas and
Salah,
permits for expats in Kuwait. Sponsorship system for visitors. Remember, she's like, my husband is sponsoring me. Well, okay. So here's the thing about Kuwait. Yes, you have to be married to live together, right? But what proof do you think Kuwait wants to prove that you're not living together? Is it
good question.
videos showing you guys together?
What's the burden of proof?
Or is it documented proof that there's two residencies that each person lives in? So, yes, they can be together on a video and claim they're married, but that's not going to convince bills. Exactly, two bills. Yep. That's not going to convince, like sending videos or being like, oh, well, Kuwait government, you know, um, that's not what they're gonna be upset about. Like they're not gonna look at internet YouTube videos that somebody can pass off as acting for money or
Mhm.
whatever. Like let's just say this is, and let me say again for those coming in, this is speculation on my part, but I did some research and just boxes are ticking.
Once again, I think Missy Moo is also going off information that she knows, like talks with Salah and Foodie Beauty, and she's connecting the dots more than you would if you don't know anything. I'm not sure how much she talked to Salah. She's gonna talk about it in the stream. But once again, I think the information that she is departing actually makes a lot of sense when you look at it from a different perspective. Hey, Cyrilli, welcome. Smash that like button, everybody. Appreciate it.
So when I thought more about this, I'm like, she can pretend that exactly performance art. She can pretend all she wants that they're married, and as long as they on the government paper, and I'm going to go more into paperwork here, as long as it shows that Salah has a different residence than she does, they're not going to be in trouble, right? Be in trouble. So here's what it
Okay.
says: all visitors need a visa,
Hey,
so or
Kira.
entry permit to enter Kuwait. Nationals of other member states of the Gulf Cooperation, which I don't think she's part of, are exempt from this rule. They may enter, even live in Kuwait without having to enter. So that's whatever. But Kuwait immigration system is based on sponsorship.
Hey, One Room Rebel, what's up? I agree with you, Twanda. It's kind of like going in circles a little bit with Missy Moo. I wish she would take some time and formulate her idea properly. Stormy says you can bet that she's definitely using the information that she got from Salah and Chantel. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Naimir, what's up?
So she's
Welcome.
like, always like, my husband is sponsoring me. But listen to this: visitors must always be sponsored by a Kuwaiti national or a company while they are staying in Kuwait. So remember Murad said, oh, she gave us money into our company, and then he said, oh, I shouldn't be talking about money. Well, so so she's sponsored by a company. She is not sponsored by her husband. And I'm speculating she's not sponsored by her
Yeah, all speculation.
husband. Sponsors are responsible for the visitor and liable if the visitor violates any regulations. In case of expatriate workers, the sponsor is simply the employer in Kuwait.
Hey, Polly.
So,
I think she meant expatriate workers, so expats. So this all hinges on one Salah being an expat himself, which by all means, yeah, okay, I can see that. And Foodie Beauty being an expat and them getting stipends in terms of like healthcare, um, like accommodations and food. So it's gonna get into the really juicy parts. Once again, I mean, it does make sense, but it can't. It doesn't exactly have to be this way. Diane again says Kuwait is the sixth hardest place to immigrate to on the planet, and silly foodies acting like it's oh so easy. Exactly.
Chantal is Salah's employee. He is her employer. So she doesn't have to go out and work though. They're working. She's the drawing the publicity for their company that they're going to start or company they're starting or whatever, or maybe they're going to be, who knows what they're going to put it as. But what's working for her is that she is saying, I have a family now and a new life, and I'm a Muslim revert. But let's not forget, she's a Muslim revert now, but wasn't in Canada. So, because when you're in Canada, none of these rules apply to her in Canada. So, visitors' visas
Okay.
are valid for stays up to 30 days. But, so she didn't have a visitor visa when she went there. She had a traveler's visa, right? But now she came back, and
Hey,
she came
Marie.
back for um on the being sponsored now, right? So obviously, yes, she has court paper and she's shown court documents, like, or what, didn't show court documents, but went in there and said, I am this is my new employee, and he's holding paperwork. So they had to go to court for that paperwork, because it even says in here that you have to follow the paperwork. So here it is. So securing a long-term stay, work permit, and residency. In order to live and work in Kuwait, expat.
Okay, can we pause here for a second? Because there is a lot of stuff going on. Stormy 8 says it's illegal for a non-Kuwaiti individual to own or invest in a business. Who says it's illegal for a non-Kuwaiti to own or invest in a business? Where'd you get this information from? Dan again says they are deporting tens of thousands who are not contributing to the economy now, so this is why they need their investor to get the perfume thing going. Oh, really? So they're doing their checks, crossing their T's, dotting their I's. Okay. Before we go any further, uh, here's the thing. Like, I like when people can actually look into certain things because there's a lot of channels these days, a lot of reaction channels, and some reaction channels don't do their due diligence. They don't look things up. Because here is what was said. Here's what was said even by Foodie Beauty herself. So I really want to know, where is this information coming from when people say you cannot own or invest in a company if you are non-Kuwaiti. It says here, the general rule is that the shareholders of joint stock companies must be Kuwaiti nationals. As an exception, foreigners may own 49% of the share capital of a KSC closed after obtaining the approval of the concerned authorities. The incorporation of a KSC closed may take up to 6 months. So, what this generally says is that you need a Kuwaiti citizen to have controlling interests of your company, which is 51%. So, you can own up to 49% if it's like just two partners. If it's three or more, you just divvy how much whoever can own if they're non-citizens, but the max non-citizens can own is 49%. So 51% must be owned by at least one Kuwaiti citizen. This is how they control what is happening with their economy, especially when they're an oil rich company. Not an oil rich company, but an oil rich country is what I mean. So I really want to know, who is saying that you can't own a business in Kuwait. You can own a business in Kuwait, but you cannot own the majority. All right, let's go back to the video because it seems misinformation is a thing in the foodieverse. Okay, here we
And
go.
residency. In order to live and work in Kuwait, expats have to obtain a residency visa. This visa can only be issued on the basis of a valid employment offer. So she came to Kuwait to visit and be presented with the employment offer. She went home to settle her whatever she needed to settle, right? I'm assuming these are assumptions, guys. Okay, this is a speculation. But I researched this today because I was like, listen,
Hey,
like hell,
Amelia,
I'll
what's
have
up?
my name put with that I would sponsor somebody until I look and see here, right? So
All right, so that whole sponsorship thing, remember that Mr. Moo and Missy Moo were actually putting out a helping hand and saying that they would sponsor Salah if Foodie Beauty really wanted them to and there was no other way. Um, Jamie said something interesting here. That is true. I saw the article on Twitter about people getting deported. So you're saying that Diane again is saying that's right. They're deporting tens of thousands of people who are not contributing to the economy. So is this why they wanted Foodie Beauty to invest that 9K into the business to get things going so that they can show they're actually doing something? Because I think the trick is a lot of people open up these businesses and not really contribute to the economy in the way that they all want, the Kuwaiti government wants them to, and use this as a way to like stay in the country, which actually does make a lot of sense. Hey Valchin, how are you doing?
so so what it says here is the valid employment offer from a private company or Kuwaiti government organization. So this is a private company. It has nothing to do with the government. It's a private company. The Kuwaiti employer then applies for the whatever that word is, I don't know, on behalf of the expatriate employee. So of course they went to court because he had to apply for that. You're then issued a so-called no objection certificate with which you can
Mm-hmm.
enter Kuwait. You will be issued the actual residency visa once you have entered Kuwait. In order for the residency visa to be issued, you need to an extensive medical certificate is necessary, including testing for HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, and tuberculosis. So she had to go back home and get tested for that. Or whatever, right? Once the resident
Okay, did you guys hear that? So pretty much she's saying that Foodie Beauty came back to Canada and you have to get certain things done in 30 days. That's why she only stayed for a month. She had to get all these testing done for like HIV, TB, and what else was it that she had to get testing done?
residency visa once you have entered Kuwait. In order for the residency
ACV.
visa to be issued, you need to an extensive medical certificate is necessary, including testing for HIV, AIDS, hepatitis, and tuberculosis. So she had to go back home and get tested for that.
Okay, so once again, HIV, hepatitis, and TB, she needs testing within 30 days for this whole visa situation. So this is why Missy Moo is saying she only spent 30 days in Canada and not about 90 days or more. Like she wanted a quick turnaround time.
Or whatever, right? Once the residency visa is issued, you can apply for a Kuwaiti civil ID. This application has to be submitted within 30 days of receiving the residency visa. So that's why within 30 days she had to be back. Okay? Once successfully obtained residency,
Mm-hmm. So Missy Moo is saying she's getting or trying to obtain residency by getting a civil ID by way of this by being under Salah's business. So residency visa will lead to a civil ID because she's going to be listed as a worker under Salah's company, is what she's saying. Hopefully everybody's catching up. If not, I'll explain everything in the next few minutes.
thank you so much, Dawn. Okay.
So is this the
Once she has
workaround?
obtained residency, a male expat can act as a sponsor for his wife. Okay, get that. I get that, his wife, but they're not. I truly now am not believing they're married. So I believe that she's his employee. And I believe that they're gonna put off this channel as their work as her how she is. That she is their market manager or whatever. Okay. So
Back CV
but
back.
her bias is she gets to say that she's married and she gets to be like, I have a husband and rub it into Natter's face, rub it into everybody's face, and this is that, right? So because let me tell you, the offers I got in my Instagram DMs, do you know what they were calling me? Babe, baby. Okay, that threw me off right then and there. That was a red flag for me. So it says here, this possibility, however, is restricted by a certain salary requirements. Only expats who earn at least whatever a month
Right,
if you're
Sleepy
working in
Moo?
the public sector, may bring their families with them. So they don't have a family, so let's not talk about that. The procedure for a dependent visa is similar to that of residency visa. So we don't need to look at dependent because they don't have dependents. So thank you guys. And believe me, this is speculation, but honestly, I spent the afternoon looking at this because I'm not working for March break. So I spent my March break doing this. Okay. Listen to this: housing, accommodation, Arabian style housing. So they have housing. There is housing for expats. Okay.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
the reason why he was in a singular housing or whatever, like the housing he chose, was because it fit his needs. But
It
she
made
didn't
him
like how everybody was all about that. And plus, I still think he has that place. I just think that this place is she's in now. Okay, so Sirius says the average Kuwaiti home is more spacious than an accommodation.
okay.
For example, I must see all those accounts were connected to Salah's account.
But wait a second. What doesn't make sense from her explanation is this: they're actively kicking out bachelors um, accommodations. Why? Because they do have a regulation. I did look it up. We did talk about it. We have seen it in the news. They're actively and they're actually telling people to rat out their bachelor neighbors. So if you're a single male, they don't want you living in like family like accommodations or family like buildings. So I remember we talked about it a few days ago. So I don't know what's going on. Like Missy Moo was saying, she's explaining it as if the place that she has is her own place, but then she's not supposed to be living there alone, or he's not supposed to be over there because they're not married. So she's gonna say that they might be living in the same building or something similar like that, which actually does kind of make sense.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know about that. So see, he was in like a route like accommodation um here. So most family houses, they don't have a family house, but so they have restrictions. They can't buy property in Kuwait.
Hmm.
It might change in their future. Um the most alternative expat Kuwait is to rent a home. Rental homes in Kuwait come in all shapes and sizes, from one-bedroom apartments in a skyscraper building to spacious single-family homes known as villas. So, hi Sue, how are you? Hi Aussie Grandma.
Okay, I see yarn. All
Oh,
right, can I explain the whole bachelor thing? Let me put this up on the screen because we did talk about this. There is an actual law, and they are actually getting rid of bachelor expats. They're trying to kick them out of their homes because they don't want to have bachelors in family dwellings. Also, on top of this, is the push to get rid of a lot of people that aren't contributing to the economy. So, who was saying this before? I believe it was Diane again who contributed the fact that a lot of expats are dealing with a lot of things in Kuwait, and there's a lot of factors going on. So if you're not impacting the economy in a positive way, they just really don't want you there. So let me pull up that article because this is getting quite interesting what Missy Moo is saying. So let me do it this way. I'll pull the articles up like this. You guys can maybe Google this and read only if you want to, and just for me to show that I'm not just talking crap. So here are the articles. Welcome everybody just coming in. Hey there, Sasha. That there is a drive to evict bachelors in family homes is on, says the Arab Times, and this is all about Kuwait. Of course, it says Kuwait City here. This is an article from November 18, 2022. The next one is Kuwait, 8,000 expat bachelors evicted from their homes. So this is from June 26, 2021. Al Khaled pointed out that the houses that they are living in are in violation of building codes and regulations. I don't think that's true. But there is a drive of people who are getting deported and kicked out because they don't want bachelors in family like dwellings. So pretty much you can read article after article. Citizens complain of bachelor influx in Salmia, blah 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 blah. So could this have factored into what Salah is doing? Maybe it is factoring in, or maybe what Missy Moo is saying is the primary factor in his actions. Who knows? But I think all of these are coalescing into something that, for the most part, is a scam. But what factor is of most importance?
Oh, maybe. And that's what I think. They might be. They might be like they might understand now that, see, he's bringing her there as an employee. Maybe they're thinking they can maybe start a relationship or see how they work together. I don't know, but there's no way that they're already married and in love and soulmates. There just isn't, when I look at everything. And I look at how he's allowing her to behave. And number one, this behavior too is that he's putting up with this behavior. So, and they get
Or
rent. So he's just bought the grandkids some snackies. Oh, what kind of snacks?
Polygon Wrong says, do you think that they are specifically targeting Syrians from the massive Syrian migration wave? I don't think they're specifically targeting Syrians, but Syrians are targeted in general. I would say that. So there's a, like I said, a lot of factors that's going on here. I think they're just targeting a lot of bachelors, and they're targeting expats that aren't contributing to the economy in a positive way, and just trying to get rid of people who might just weigh the economy down, because they already have a lot of people who aren't working because of generational wealth, Kuwaiti citizens who are really well off. So there's a lot of things going on right now. And if you've lived in Kuwait for a long time, and then they will just kick you out like that, because we don't have to worry about things typically like this in Canada or America. Of course, there are always exceptions, because there's always nepotism and other factors, unfairness. If you do live in places where, like, co-ops, council housing, if you, that's what they call that in the UK, council houses, council flats, we call them co-op buildings. There are certain factors that will displace you. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say that doesn't happen, but there's, like I said, let's figure out what is going on,
I
because
need a snack. So what I want to say is,
I do think Missy Moo has a point.
so it's technically he gets a housing allowance because he has his own private, own business. He
So
gets a housing
housing
allowance,
allowance,
and
yeah.
with Chantel being his employee, she also is getting a allowance for housing and medical and that and food allowance. Hi, Lizzie, how are you? I do believe in the same building. It's possible they're in the same building, and that's why he can come so quickly when she's asking him to come,
Does that
right?
make sense?
Because you can't tell me that. I just like, I want to speculate with facts. I don't want to speculate with, you can't tell me he loves her, because that crap to me, whatever. He loves her. Like, love nowadays is a term that I can say, oh my God, I love you, is a term that everybody says nowadays. It really is. And it's not like it used to be a sacred term. It's a term. Yes, it is a sacred term and endearment, but it can be used very flippantly for people. Like, these people were already calling me babe and love and all that kind of stuff on there.
Uh-huh.
So so he found the home for her because she can't go do that. She's a woman in Kuwait. She can be hired as an employee, but she can't go consult the local real estate agent for that. Ask work colleagues, friends, and other expats. Word of mouth is the most reliable type of recommendation in Kuwait. So probably Allah and Murad, you know, they're a group of expats, is what I think. Because is not Allah's children in the Philippines? And
All right, what's confusing here is someone send Missy links to the social scan. Yeah. One thing I is puzzling to me is this. Okay, I get the whole housing alliance and the healthcare allowance, not alliance, but allowances that they have, and food allowance. But where is that coming from? Is that actually coming from the government, or is it actually coming from the employer giving people allowances? Because I've been doing a lot of reading, and there are allowances and whatnot, but um, is it because there's large companies over there that do or can give allowances? And maybe Missy Moo is reading this incorrectly, like as if the government's just doling out money to people.
And so it says compounds of apartment buildings, right? And that's for sure an apartment building. It for sure is. And let's just go in here again and see what the government gives the expats. So not only is she getting money from YouTube, which is why she didn't bother to really do very much about this bullying, I think, because I think she doesn't want to lose her income from whether it's a couple $100s or whatever a month.
I think it's more than that.
Because she also now is getting paid from the government in speculating is getting from the government in Kuwait because she's now an employee of Salah's company.
Okay.
I think that Murad started to say too much and then had to cover himself. So what are the benefits? Is Kuwait good for expats? Despite its size, Kuwait is a popular destination for expats, with around 2/3 of the population comprised of expats. It's a strong oil industry, blah, blah, blah.
Nancy Drew says Nader is on a Monty striking fury. Really? Milk tea company pays her rent. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Isn't it the company that pays her rent? Hey, sup, Danielin? Who's striking? You know what? I got a strike from Nader, but it's already appealed. Romance scamming is a full time job. It is. It is a full time job. Also, I heard or saw that Roman El Roman was on. I guess I'm gonna have to look over that. Hey, Danielin, what's up?
Okay, so since Kuwait charges neither income or social security taxes to expat workers, you don't have to have tax obligations, right? So nothing. So if anybody said, "Oh, she's evading taxes from Canada," nobody's in Kuwait's going to care. So, how much allowance do Kuwait citizens get? Every citizen gets 3,500 handout in a move that highlights whatever they got. This right. This is and I think maybe his final goal was to try to get into Canada, or maybe these people do this and bring people in that they're gonna say they're gonna have a romance relationship with, so they can collect the benefits of having employees that they can control.
Yeah, I think Missy Moo might be reading into this too much, because there's the difference between a large company and a small one, especially a large conglomerate that is able to provide funding for their employees that are based in Kuwait versus maybe what Salah is doing with Chantel by getting a residency visa, going through all this testing, and getting a civil ID where she is listed as a worker, which is still possible. But in terms of the allowances, I don't know if she's able to get these. Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. I'm going to have to look into what the stipulations for getting allowances are in Kuwait.
Speculation, of course.
What is she smoking? Are you lost? Okay,
I
we're going to explain
what
it.
the benefit of being so benefits for
Exactly. This is what I'm thinking, Yarn. I think she's reading into like a huge company and their hiring practices. And then the way it typically works out is that you will have a percentage. Like they'll tell you you'll get paid 1,000 Kuwait dinar or maybe 1500 or 1300, and then they'll give you a breakdown. They'll break it down as you get paid this much, which is 70% of this is your salary, 20% of it is your housing allowance, and 10% is for transportation. And this is per month. So people have actually talked about this where their offer would be like 1,470 Kuwaiti dinar, where it's composed 70% of your salary, 20% housing allowance, and 10% for transportation. And that's what you get, which means you do get a housing loan allowance and you do get transportation. You might even get food. It depends on what your package is. And people are saying, hey, it's a good idea. I'm gonna go back over this vouching so everybody's on the same page. Don't worry, give me a couple more minutes.
Expats in Kuwait. Because, like I said, those pictures they sent were very similar to Salah's. They all were wearing suits with little badges on them. They all had pictures in perfume shops that were very nicely decorated with watches, wearing nice watches in front of nice cars. So here's pros and cons of living in Kuwait. And let me first just also say, I'm not speaking badly about Kuwait, but I believe that they do have these rings that target people. So
Exactly.
there's lots of options for accommodation. There's many different apartments.
Who sent her pics? She's saying that when she added Salah, a multitude of guys added her, and they all look the same in a suit with a car in the background, nice watch, looking fancy. And they all pretty much said the same thing, which makes her think that this is some sort of like scamming ring that is going on. Like, as soon as somebody gets added by one of them, the others will message and try and court you in some way.
I'll go through and show you what I'm not going to show you like things that Salah sent me or anything like that, or Chantal, not that at all. But I will show you what these guys sent me.
Yes, that would be the real tea. Show it up. Exactly,
Yes, and
Jen.
sunglasses. Yes. So con extremely hot summers.
Yeah, it seems like it is Miss T, like different guys, and everybody's trying to be chosen, talking the same thing, saying the same thing. I mean, it's what can I say? In time will tell what Chantel is going through. I think in a lot of parts she is very aware of what's going on, but at the end of the day, her end goal is, hey, she's with a hot guy who's 6'3" and takes care of her, quote unquote.
And I think that
Take care, Marie. Have a good
Chantel
night.
has read this, and this is why she can say things like pros, low crime rate. Like she said this, low crime rate. She said these things, but has she really looked into this? No, because you know what? She's impulsive.
Exactly,
Because
Kay.
did she look into who she gave BBJ to? No. Impulse, gone, done, gone. There's a variety of expats clubs for women to join. Also, American Women's League, British Ladies League. So there's like things, social media platforms are a good way to reach out to expat groups. The younger generation, blah, blah, blah. And let me tell you, the one guy I said right away I was 42, and he was 23, and he was still talking to me, wanting to video chat me, call me baby.
Oh yeah,
And I have that. And I can show that.
baby,
And I will.
baby, baby. Ooh. He wants his maple syrup,
This is what
baby.
happens when you want to root for somebody and then
Hey, QZ.
they just do too many fishy things.
Right, because it's completely not fishy to know one person for a day or so, then you're already engaged. I'm planning to go to Kuwait. Totally not fishy at all. Man, some people just luck out, don't they?
So there's lots of private hospitals. So when she said there was it's all government hospitals, no, they're private hospitals. Because so many private hospitals to choose from, there's long waits at public hospitals. So I guess yeah, she did say there was private hospitals. Sorry, sure there wasn't private hospitals in Canada. Um okay, so you have
I guess we're gonna have different rounds between Missy Moo versus Foodie Beauty because Missy Moo has been actually getting a lot of subscribers lately. A multitude of people are wanting to see what she'll say, and of course, Foodie Beauty is gonna react to this, just like how she reacted when her and Shannon fell out, as well as when her and Sandy and Ange, or Ange and no, Andy and Sanj, or Sanj and Andy. Also, who else fell out with the trio? Yes, the trio. Ashley Lamborghini, Plain Cheeseburger, Hey Izzy, as well as Sofa King, etc., etc.,
okay,
etc.
so you have to go for an interview. So probably she had to like go to one of those court things for a interview, right? It says most expats when asked love the fact that the weather is sunny each day and we live right on the beach. Fantastic view over the Gulf. Living abroad allows you the opportunity to be part of a more international community of people. Like she probably read these things
Great.
to get in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Expat rival looking for locals to contribute, answer questions.
She's luring people to her channel.
Exactly. And that
What kind of choice of words is that, J. Herod? Luring people to her channel? That doesn't sound right.
I think they look for people because they asked me what I did, if I was employed, what I did for work. And I asked him, and he said he owned a landscaping company in Kuwait. But I asked him where he was originally from, and he said Saudi Arabia.
All right. So one of the first questions they ask you is what you do for work. That's like chain gang. That's like chain gang romance scam level. If you ever randomly get a message from somebody, they don't care how old you are, and they one of the first things they ask you is what you do for work, they're trying to qualify or disqualify you, because if they see that you have a good job, you make a decent amount of money or more, then you're qualified, right? Then they're like, oh, I guess I can maybe get some money out of you. If you don't, then what they're going to do is they're probably going to block you, not talk to you at all. So typically, you don't really want to answer that question, or if you see somebody ask you that question, it's best to block them right away. Yeah, love scam is a plague on the planet. When people are lonely or they're
So,
looking for somebody, they legitimately want to find a good partner, because these days it's actually hard to find a partner. If you've ever dated in the modern market, you know it's extremely hard to find somebody that you can get along with, you vibe with, and not there for like nefarious intentions. Because there's a lot of people out there that, hey, they try and take as much prison style questions. Exactly, Polly. Stay single. A lot of people are opting to stay single. Actually, there was an article, and I think a lot of YouTubers, like a lot of big YouTubers, have gone over it, where they see like 66% of guys are single, but only 33% of women are single, which pretty much means that there's guys out there that are dating more than one woman, one person at the same time.
oh,
Go
they
figure.
get an allowance for food, accommodation, and sorry, that was Mr. Moo. They get an accommodation for food, um, residency, and
Yes.
whatever. So of course
Yes,
he goes and
Missy.
buys her groceries and stuff like this because he gets all this money, like he's collecting the money that she's getting. So yes, of course she's traveling there. Of course Ala wants Jessica to come there
Ooh,
because
yeah.
they will collect that. She can be part of his business and they will collect that money.
And
They'll find you a cheap place to live.
Tawana says, you know, it's harder here for a pimp. Yeah, it is when you're trying to get the money for the rent. Yeah, it is. Say harder here for a pimp.
And keep you happy, but then pocket the extra.
Exactly. Pocket the extra.
100%.
But Salah has a major food bill on his hands. Roman scammers target retirees, pensioners, widows, women with goose eggs and lots of time on their hands. Exactly.
And so I hate that this is how that vulnerable that can happen to vulnerable women.
Mm-hmm.
But because she is an expat, it's not citizens. He's sponsoring her as her employer.
Okay.
So if you look there, you can see that. If you Google that, go in and Google like expats for Kuwait. Google where it says a private employer can.
Buffalo Bill had said they aren't expats, though they don't have an expat status in Kuwait.
Yeah, they do.
He is not a citizen.
No.
Izzy says, I'm so sorry that happened to your mom, Izzy. You wanted your mom to bring him to Canada. That's actually really sad and mean. Like the viciousness of some people. All right, Mr. Moo is sounding off saying about expat stuff.
Where it says a private employer can.
Buffalo Bill had said they aren't expats, though they don't have an expat status in Kuwait.
Yeah, they do.
He is not a citizen.
No, I know, but he's an expat.
Right, Kay?
If he is an expat, which means that he has, because he has, like she said he has to have a job. Yes, he does have to have a job.
He does.
So does she.
Else
she is employed under him. This is speculation, though. This is speculation. This is speculation, right? I'm saying this is what I think's going on. So he has to have residency there to be able to sponsor her, even if he was sponsoring her as her husband, as she says he is. So exactly, I think they target. He might have. Who knows exactly? And it says right on there for expat. It says that social media is a great way to find expats.
Blondie, Foodie Beauty can never lose her Canadian citizenship. There was only one way if she was born in Canada to lose it, and that was I think it was February 15th, 1977. Things change that you can't, if you're born in Canada, you can no longer lose your citizenship. What they can do is cancel your passport, though, if you're involved in some very mischievous things. A lot of Canadians have had their passport revoked or canceled because they're involved in certain militant groups and whatnot.
I don't think, like I said, I may have it wrong, but I did like this. This makes much more sense than them being married. So
it does. It was a large company.
They're employed. Him and Murad or whoever else has a private business. So, and he's from Salah is from Saudi Arabia or Syria. Sorry, Syria. He's from Syria. The guy that was messaging me said he was from Saudi Arabia. He's from Syria, and he came there as an expat, or however that is.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is that they live separately because she would have to show proof to the government that she's his employee and not his spouse if they're not married. So, and like if they're married and they prove us wrong, then they prove us wrong and she wins, right? But it's too fishy. It's way too fishy. And like I said, anybody can say anything though, right? I'm coming on and saying this. Who knows if what I'm saying has absolutely anything to do with it. But what I'm saying is the instant Salah accepted me as a friend, I had probably 10 men message me almost the same thing.
Can I say one thing? Kay says maybe this is why Salah's dad doesn't approve of her. If I look at it from that angle that they're not married, then the whole dad approving thing doesn't make any sense because if they're not married, then why wouldn't Salah's dad not approve of her? Because it's not like she is married to his son and then his son would be having her as his employer. So why would the dad interfere in his business deals? It actually makes more sense that Salah is married or pretending to be married to Foodie Beauty, and that is why the dad doesn't approve and is concerned. And maybe on top of that, they have a business working relationship of some sorts. Because then, like, why would the dad not approve of something if they actually are not married? Brooklyn Brixton says Chantel admitted to random Arab men adding her on Facebook and saying they loved her. Mm-hmm.
Like a script. And they were all his friends. And they said the similar things, and their profiles were very similar. They all had some cheesy quote about life. All looked nice. Looked like they had stuff together. So,
right, oranges.
I mean, us as viewers, we deserve to speculate if we're being hoodwinked.
Sure.
And yeah, they were able to show being in the court. I will show you, yes. I don't know if I can log on to my... I can't log on. I can only log on to my Instagram on this phone. So, not necessarily, Aussie Grandma, did they ask if I was married right away? No. And I kind of played off of one of them to see how far he would go. And when I started to get fishy, he changed his profile picture to him and a woman.
Man, whoever did that is mad salty. Why would you do that? It's like Missy Moo is dragging this on way too much. Let me change my profile picture to me and a woman in case she says that I'm a scammer. It's like, no, I am married to Aisha. That is a mad salty move. Who did that?
Not necessarily, Aussie Grandma, did they ask if I was married right away? No. And I kind of played off of one of them to see how far he would go.
Yeah.
And when I started to get fishy, he changed his profile picture to him and a woman.
Yeah, that woman's called Aisha.
So, I'll show you guys it though. But I have to be in a different setup to show it because it's on my phone and I'm videoing on my phone right now. So I think a lot of people are on the right track, and I think we can be fishy and observant without being bullies. I don't think that this is being a bully. I think this is being skeptical and outraged at being hoodwinked, because I feel like we're being hoodwinked. And if, like, I was a member of both channels, and so was my husband, so that's what, at least $20 a month.
Yeah, 20
right?
big ones. Look at that.
So
Hot Mess loves your hoodie.
oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a Shroot Farm. The office for life. Yeah, no, I won't show too much on my Instagram, but I'll take a screenshot and then I'll like upload it or something.
All right, so let me summarize this. So what Missy Moo is saying is basically that she isn't sure about this situation with Foodie Beauty. She's not sure if they're married or not. In fact, she's saying that they're possibly not married because there's a way to work around things, and there's a possibility that Salah wants Foodie Beauty in Kuwait because then she can get allowances such as for healthcare, for rent, and for food. And he's actually using these allowances for himself as well as him getting allowances. Now, I am not sure about this because I do believe these allowances are part of your indemnity, when you work with a larger company like international corporations that are based in Kuwait, and your indemnity is based on your basic salary. So when you have breakdowns, as in your basic pay is like 70%, but you get like 1,500 kwd a month, but 70% of it is your salary, then 20% of it might be for your housing, then 10% for your transportation. Or they could break it down: 70% salary, 20% housing, 10% food. But basically that's your indemnity. So Missy Moo is trying to say that the reason that Salah wants Foodie Beauty over and she's listed as an employee under his company by way of getting a residency visa by being listed as an employee of Salah, which would then give her a civil ID, is because he has this perfume, this oud business that he has with Murad. But Murad and Salah are not Kuwaiti citizens, so there has to be at least one Kuwaiti citizen with a controlling interest of their company at least 51%. So a lot of things is going on right now, but to break it down, basically, Missy Moo is saying that she doesn't believe that they are married and they're possibly living in the same building, and he is taking her stipends for food and shelter and healthcare that she would get. But I really do believe it would be the large conglomeration that would be paying for these things and not the Kuwaiti government, because then that doesn't make any sense.
It seems super off because Ramadan is also on the 21st. Where's the plans for Ramadan? Like, where's the difference? Oh, thanks. Yeah. Braided my hair because I tried the rollers and they did nothing for it. So I was like, oh, braids it is. And I just feel like as a viewer,
Right, Sasha?
that we are entitled to be fishy. And I think
Okay.
if she says he knew all about her, then she flaunted money, flaunted possessions, flaunted Canada, flaunted this, flaunted that, but also truly had broken issues. So, of course, people are going to look past her other things. And if you'd also notice, when she first went there, he was much more strict than he is right now.
Oh yeah, we see
He was
it.
a lot stricter with what she was doing because I think at that point was when they were applying for the whatever, and he had to, vouch for her. And then, but I think she got ticked off and was like, "You need to treat me nicer on camera." And now he's treating her nicer on camera. So, and also, I think he might be a bit naive in knowing the process of getting to Canada. And that's why I said I felt bad for him, because I feel like he might be feeling like he has to stick it out. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's a possibility he feels like, um, exactly, right? So different now, like singing, dancing. She said singing and all that wasn't permitted, but now they're going to do a karaoke live stream singing. A Muslim actually isn't supposed to listen to secular music. Just
Right, celebrity juicer.
FYI. From what I understand, as a naive person who's recently just started kind of getting recommendations for Muslim creators, because I was watching Muslim content. So, and yes, he has been nonchalant now, because like if you remember, she was very different the first time she went in there until like the end when she was ready to go home. And let's not forget, when she went home, she said, "I'll be in Kuwait for a lot longer," because she will get airfare.
I'm actually not even sure, Scoutfinch, because she said she was going to do karaoke on her TikTok, and I haven't checked her TikTok. So if anybody knows, did she actually do karaoke on her TikTok? because there's so much to keep up with. There's so much people live streaming and coming out with so many things that I'm like, I haven't even kept up with Pete's because Pete's is doing like 2 hours, then 2.5 hours tonight. It's like, where do I get time to like be keeping up with all this stuff? Then we got Missy Moo live streaming over and over and over. I'm like, Missy Moo could have literally said this in a 5 to 10 minute video, but she's not. What does she do? Live stream for almost 2 hours.
Once a year to travel out to visit her family. And that is included in the status of being employed as an expat coming in on a visitor's visa or a worker's visa or whatever. And she still is capable now. Hi, Sammy. She's still capable of keeping her Canadian money that she's making from YouTube because Kuwait wouldn't look into that. They just wouldn't, especially if somebody said she changed her information or whatever.
Exactly.
And chances are she has a mailing, uses her parents' mailing address or whatever for at home, because she's still collecting. She still has to have some type of residency she has to have some type of billing address or something for YouTube to collect her money, her paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, like I said, entire speculation, but I thought I better look into this because I did say, when everybody was saying, we're going to make it so that Sally can't get into Canada at the very beginning of this, when I thought that she was really reverted to being a Muslim and going to go through a change. This was back in November. I said that, sorry, I'll read that comment in a minute. I just want to finish this thought. I said that my husband and I, because my husband and I have been married for 16 years.
Long time.
We're born and raised in Canada. We have, good standing in our community, no police records, nothing like that. That if they needed help in getting him here, that we would, if we could, and not like I was going to financially support, not at all, but I would vouch. And if they needed some, witnesses for interviews and things like that. So, okay, really? I want to read this thinking on.
Man, talk about putting yourself on the line. So basically, Missy Moo would vouch for Salah. Maybe Missy Moo would write an invite letter. Who knows? But on top of that, if you're going to invite somebody into the country, you either have to show that you can financially support them if they do go on any social services, or they have their own financial support. So either he has to show, hey, I got the monies, here are the monies, blah, 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 or Missy Moo would have to show that she's got the monies. But hey, that is a big task for her to have put herself out there for somebody who she doesn't really know, because you can get into a lot of trouble and you could be on the line for a lot of crap. But hey, if she wants to do it, she's going to do it. Not my problem.
Comment. I'm curious, why did you say remember after discussing behavior towards her family while her grandma was dying? I wasn't involved. I wasn't watching then about when her grandmother was dying. I just came in I came in back when she moved into the villa. Then I went away for a little while, like I wasn't on YouTube for a little while, and I wasn't really watching for a little while. I started watching when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, she had just moved into the villa.
Yes.
And I watched when she was kind of, doing a little bit of the dating. And then when she met Nader, started dating him or whatever, I watched periodically, but I was not aware that her grandma was passing away until because she didn't talk about it too much. Like from what I saw, everything was more covered over the Nader drama, right? But
yeah, she was all about Nader. She didn't care that much about her grandmother, which is actually still so sad, because so much of us would love to spend time with our grandparents. Some of us would love to spend the last few days fully, wholeheartedly. I would love to, spend the last few days with my grandfather or grandmother, especially when I know that they're declining, their health is declining. I would totally do that. I wouldn't be online crying about some junkie trying to take all my monies and this and that.
I knew that her grandma had passed, but I didn't know the whole scenario there, right? I, and the
Exactly, Kay.
so and I should have spoke up. I should have spoke up. Even if I wanted to be supportive, a supporter should be able to speak up against actions that you feel are unjust, not right. Snuggy is digging himself a little nest, and not, and that shouldn't be broadcast on the internet. So let me just, sorry, the chat's going by pretty fastly. Let me just read what this says. Are you on, baby?
I am now, yeah.
Okay. Pumped up kicks. So I didn't watch
What do you guys think about Mr. Moo? What does he look like?
the Cuba Rage. I've only seen Cuba Rage when she reacted to Cuba Rage. I haven't watched it yet. I thought I might watch it, maybe react to it, because I honestly haven't watched it. The only thing I watched that was in Cuba was when she got attacked by the bug.
You're right, Diane. Again, Foodie Beauty practically was with Nader whenever she was requested to be at her grandmother's services. When her grandmother was in the hospital, she was with Nads. With their remembrance for her grandmother, when it was the Tulip Festival in Ottawa, where was she? Absent. She didn't go. A lot of things she didn't show up. Older and nerdy, really? I don't know. No, he's not one room rebel. Mr. Moo has that face. He looks kind of like Wolverine. I
The
don't know.
pumped
Maybe it's
up
just me.
kicks, I didn't see that when she was drunk. I did not see that, the racist Hitler thing. I didn't see that. So I was viewing it. She deleted all those videos, right? So I was viewing it through a a channel, or seeing it on like a clip, and I thought, I can't see the context or anything, right? Like, I'm naive. Like, I shouldn't have supported it, and at the very least, I should have spoken about it, but I didn't.
Missy Moo, it's your evil twin. Just blame it on your evil twin like you did the last time. Remember a few months ago, like Missy Moo was like a slayer of reaction channels. She would find out all this information about every reaction channel and post it somewhere and having all these suck accounts. And then she comes out and is like, that's not me, that's my evil twin. I died. I was like, that sounds about right. Evil twin. Missy Moo's evil twin posting people's doxes on their internet.
um I was afraid because I had given her some personal information. I had given her my personal phone number. And I saw what um it's not that I missed the horrid behavior. I saw some of the horrid behavior. Absolutely I did. I believed her when she said she was being bullied to the point of being depressed, having altered state of mind. It was stupidity on my own part, bad decision making on my part.
Gotcha, Missy.
Sorry.
I think I think this might be a good time. I think at this point in time, she starts just reminiscing and rehashing a lot of things that I feel aren't exactly that important. So I won't go through all of this. I just wanted to bring up what she was saying, which does make a lot of sense. I do think there is a high probability that they are married or acting as if they're married or married in on some level, because we can bring up the mystery marriage again, and maybe that's their route, or maybe Missy Moo's right. Maybe she is getting a residency visa by being an employee under Salah and Murad's business that is controlled by somebody else that's a Kuwaiti citizen, and that is her in for a civil ID because that's her workaround. I don't know. There's a lot of things that's going on right now. Well, pretty much that's what Missy was saying is that Foodie Beauty is listed under Salah's business and that she's getting these allowances and Salah is taking these allowances and using it for himself. But based on what I've been seeing, It seems that it's the companies that are paying these allowances and not the state. But I did do some readings that says in some instances the state, as in the government, is actually paying allowances themselves. So I gotta look into this more because I'm looking at an Arab Times article and it's saying that rent allowances paid by state to Kuwaitis exceed cost of building a city. So they're saying that there's in KD 14.15 million per month as a rent allowances. So does that mean that when they say Kuwaitis as in Kuwaiti citizens, so Kuwaiti citizens are getting rent allowances and not any expats because the expats would get allowances based on the companies that they work for. It's quite confusing. I got to look into it more, but I'll end it here. Thanks so much, everybody. Hopefully, you're not that confused. We might see a lot more of Foodie Beauty versus Missy Moo in the next coming day or two or three or four based on what's going on because Missy Moo has been actually quite active on her channel with the live streams. She could be hitting 1,000 subs any moment now. She's at 986 subscribers yesterday, last night. She was at 777. I do remember that. So she's getting, oh, actually, no, she's at 1,000 subscribers now. So since I started that live stream, Missy Moo has gotten 1,000 subs. What's her channel? It's called Missy Moo's Zoo. Missy Moo's Zoo. Okay, that's what I thought, Brooklyn. Only real Kuwaitis get that allowance. That's what I thought. Kuwaiti citizens get paid based on the oil dividends. Yes, that's exactly what I thought. And that if you're gonna get allowances and you're not a Kuwaiti citizen, then it would have to be your company factoring that into your pay. All right. Thank you so much for clarifying Brooklyn to Brixton as well as One Room Rebel. I appreciate all of you. And I am out of here. Take care of yourselves. If you want to check out Missy Moo, well, that's on you. As I've said, it's called Missy Moo's Zoo, is Missy Moo's channel. And yeah, take care of yourselves. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Be safe. Bye bye.